Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back. This is a video on how to schedule your retrieval practice. Let's get on with it. As you may well be aware, your mocks begin on the 3rd of November. That is the week straight after your half term. So that means between now and then, you have 8 weeks worth of time to prepare for your mocks. The purpose of this video is to make sure that that time is well spent and is as effective as possible. Okay, just so you're aware, the general expectation is that after school, you are engaging in 2 hours of work each evening as a minimum, and that is a mixture, a combination of home learning set by your teachers and your own independent retrieval practice that you are organising and doing yourselves. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, hold on a minute, Mr. Grayling, that seems like quite a lot. I'm not sure I'm entirely up for that right now. Thanks very much. I do understand that entirely. And I'm not saying that you need to be at the maximum 20 hours right now. What I am saying is that you are on a journey and 20 hours is the destination. You need to get there at some point. Not right now, but you are on a journey towards that 20 hours a week, 2 hours each evening, plus some on the weekend. The schedule that we're going to put together today will help you get there. It won't be the 20 hours, but it will help you get towards that at some point. Okay, so let's get to it. Right, now, you might be thinking, well, the big question here is you might say 2 hours a night, but I don't really think I've got time for 2 hours a night. Um, I'm here to tell you that you do, and I'm going to demonstrate that to you now. So let's take a typical evening of a typical Rodborough student. So travel home time. School ends at about 3:30. Let's say that traveling home takes about an hour for you. For most people, it doesn't. It takes about 5, 10, 15 minutes because lots of you walk or catch the bus. But let's go worst case scenario that it takes you an hour to get home. That takes you to 4:30. Fine. So you get home. You probably don't want to work straight away. You want to have a break. You want to have a bit of dinner. Perfectly reasonable. So let's give an hour for that as well. Again, fairly generous. So that takes you to about 5:30 p.m. Okay, at this point, you've travelled home, you've had a break, you've had dinner. Now it's time to get on with some work. That is either your home learning or your retrieval practice. Now, let's be fair, home learning has deadlines attached to it. So it's reasonable to prioritize your home learning first. That's a big priority because your teachers are expecting you to get that done. So let's do your hour of home learning. That takes you to about 6:30. Okay, stop, have a break. Ideally, go outside. Ideally, don't look at a screen. We do entirely appreciate that screens are a reasonable part of your lives. We get that. But an effective break is one that changes your settings. So you go outside, don't look at a screen, do a bit of exercise, something like that. Anyway, whatever you do for your break, it's 30 minutes. That takes you to about 7 p.m. So ideally, you've done your home learning at this point. Now you've got time to settle in to two 30-minute retrieval sessions that evening. Okay, if you haven't done retrieval sessions already, that takes you to about an hour to 8 p.m. Stop. Now you've got some free time, an hour and a half's worth of free time. That takes you to 9:30. Get ready for bed. That takes you to 30 minutes. Bit of reading, not on a screen, an actual book. That takes you to 10 p.m. That should be bedtime for most of you, really, because that's an ideal bedtime for most people, to be fair. Now, that evening represents really a worst case scenario in terms of traveling home, break and dinner time, and things like that. And that illustrates that even if things are taking a long time to get home to have dinner, you still have plenty of time in an evening to do home learning and retrieval and still have some free time before bed. So you do have time for 2 hours as a minimum each evening. Okay, right. Now, in a moment, you are going to be provided this document. This is an A3 revision schedule for your mock examinations. You can see it's broken down into each week from now until half term. Your exams start immediately after half term. What we've done here is for each day or each evening, we've broken it up into four triangles that you can see here. Each triangle represents a 30-minute block of revision. Okay, perhaps with a 5-minute break in between, or however you want to schedule it and break it up within that evening. Okay, so this is what you're going to spend your time filling in this afternoon. Okay, right. Here's one that last year's used. So it looks a bit different to yours, but that's fine. The principles I'm going to talk about are exactly the same. So first things first, we know that your core subjects is really important to you, and quite right too. So you might like to put in those subjects first. So let's say that Monday and Thursday are going to be your core days, where you do 2 sessions of English and 2 sessions of maths. They don't need to be back to back. You could do one maths, one English, then one maths, then one English in an evening. That would be ideal. Ultimately. But putting those in all on Monday and all on Thursday, that's really good because that reassures you that you are giving enough time to those really important subjects. Okay. That's relatively easy. Okay. What do you do about the other subjects? Do you put them in randomly or are you a little bit more strategic about where you put them and when you do them? Okay. Really, we want to be strategic. So there's several ways of going about this. The first is to think about subjects that perhaps overlap or relate to each other. So take the first square here, geography, history, biology, PE. Now, geography and history, often when you're learning about something in history, it will spark something that is relevant to your geography lessons or vice versa ultimately. Now, it might be that these two separate pieces of information, one bit in geography and one bit in history, suddenly you've made a link between those two things. You didn't realize that link was there before, but now you do because you've revised those subjects one after the other. Okay. Now, it might be that when you get to your exam, you don't write about that link. That's kind of not the point. What we're saying is because you've made that link between those separate pieces of information, those two bits of information are now stored more concretely, more permanently in your long term memory. And that is a helpful thing. Okay. So putting geography and history together might be helpful. You might also consider biology and PE. Now, they're actually a better example of two subjects that actually overlap. Some of the stuff you learn about biology, you will directly learn about in PE as well. So it might be helpful to have those two subjects next to each other. Now, it might also be that once you've done that, you're looking at your other subjects. Let's take, for example, science. We know that sometimes pupils need to spend a lot of time working on science. There might be a bit of anxiety for you with working on science and your retrieval practice there. So it might be that you want to put all of your sciences together on one evening to make sure that you are guaranteeing yourself enough time on those subjects. That's fine. Put physics, biology, and chemistry together in one evening. Chuck in another subject there that isn't related, and that's fine. That might work for you. And if you think about it, a lot of the questions, the types of questions you get in your science exams, are very similar. They tend to be shorter answer questions based on factual recall. So it might be that that type of retrieval is very effective when done all together in one evening for your sciences. Now, you might also be sitting there and thinking, that doesn't work for me. I know I'm not going to enjoy that combination. So that's fine. You come up with any combination that works for you. There is no right answer here. There's only general strategies. Okay, so come up with what makes sense to you, please. Okay, right. So once you've come up with your blocks and your combinations, put them into your schedule. So you can see I've got my geography, history, PE, and biology here. That's every Tuesday. Wednesday, I've got my physics, business studies, French, and chemistry. And Friday, I've got my RE, physics, chemistry, and French there. Okay, those are the combinations I've chosen. I've also color coded them. So visually, I can be reassured that there's sort of an equal amount of each color there across the week. So I know, roughly speaking, I'm spending an equal amount of time on each subject. Okay, I've got my core subjects in green and orange. That's in English. I've got my humanities in purple, geography, history, RE. I've got my sciences in blue, so physics, chemistry, biology. And I've got my other optional subjects in pink, business studies, PE, and my languages in yellow, French. There you go. Okay. Now, I've deliberately left Saturday and Sunday blank. We don't want you to fill these in advance. What I'd like you to do is fill these in real time. So you wake up on a Saturday morning and you think, okay, what didn't go so well? the previous week. And I'd like you to prioritize those sessions for your Saturdays and for your Sundays. So it might be you think, okay, my chemistry session Wednesday evening really didn't go that well, so I'm going to pop it in there for Saturday afternoon. Okay, it might be that your French on Wednesday evening didn't go that well. Fine, pop it in for Saturday morning. Okay, it's really important that you go back to those sessions that didn't go so well. It's only by repeating our retrieval that it really is stored concretely in our long-term memory. That repetition is incredibly important. So that's what your Saturday and Sunday are for. They're for repeating what you did in the previous week, especially those sections that didn't go so well. Now, half term. Some of you may be on the Iceland trip. Some of you are staying at home. Don't panic if you're on the Iceland trip. If you're sticking to your revision or your retrieval schedule, you will be absolutely fine. There's still some scope to do retrieval in your half term as well, because Iceland doesn't last for the whole half term. Most people, however, will be at home for half term. So the general expectation would be 6 30-minute sessions per day over the half term. So that's 3 hours per day. If you think about it, it's a 12-hour day that you're awake for pretty much. 3 hours out of that 12 hours isn't really much. It leaves you plenty of time to do other stuff. And by all means, have 2 days off where you're doing nothing, and you are relaxing. Okay, so that's the general expectation for your retrieval schedule. Now, after all of that, you may have done your retrieval schedule. You may be on your wall in your room. You may sit at your desk and you might think, okay, I'm starting, but actually, hold on a minute. I don't quite know how to start. I know I'm going to revise RE right now, but I don't know what my first step is. So I'm telling you here now what your first step is. Go onto your Google Classroom. Go onto the resources your teachers have provided to you. One of the things they will have provided to you will be a RAG rateable list. So you can go through everything that is there that is required for you to know for your mocks, and you can RAG rate it red, amber, green. Then you start with your red rated topics. Get out your books, get out your revision books, and start engaging in retrieval practice for those red and amber topics. That's what you do. In terms of the strategies you use, flashcards, mind maps, retrieval clocks, whatever they are, we'll be talking more about those later. But that's how you start. Get those RAG rateable lists sorted, figure out what topics are red and amber, and start engaging with those. All right, thanks very much, people. Well done. Enjoy and good luck.